or whichever other ones. To experience them, the receptors have to be ready to be able to receive those particular molecules. Here's the thing. Think of the string instrument of your spinal column and what note is playing in the background. And as those nerves come out with the connective tissue anchoring into your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, wrapping around it, if there's tension on the spinal cord, it has been shown it will literally change the shape of your lungs. It will literally change the shape of your intestines because the connective tissue is all one sheath. So there's pulling on it. It's like fishing line. I used to work on a fishing boat when I was a kid. Fishing line, okay? And then there's hooks on the end hooked into the connective tissue of your lungs. And they reel those in as your spine contorts this way. Your lungs are actually going to change shape. When you break that down to the micro level, those cells that are in there actually change morphology or change shape, and that changes the shape of the cell membrane because you have 3 to 9 nerve cells anchoring to every single cell. 3 to 9 nerve membranes to every single cell. If those are like fishing lines with hooks, and that pulls that, then what happens is those cells change their shape and they can't receive the same chemicals. You may not be able to receive happy chemicals. You may not be able to receive sad chemicals. Well, you might only receive the chemicals relative to the particular event that happened to you when you were 15 years old, because your body's still living life as if that's still going on. And that's your filter for reality. And then somebody comes along and starts adjusting you, okay? And as you progress and your body starts to change its shape and position and tone and move into different portions of care, sometimes people get into intermediate care. That was hard to say, into intermediate care. As they start to get into intermediate care, what happens is they all of a sudden have their body available to molecules of emotions that they weren't available to them before. And sometimes it can feel like an emotional roller coaster at that point, and they may not always know why. They just might be feeling things. I might leave the office crying or happy or sad, and they just have different ranges of these things happen, not because something's wrong with them, but they're getting more of the full radio dial. They didn't know they were on the blues station their whole life. And now guess what? You're supposed to have, heavy metal and blues and jazz. You're supposed to have the whole range of life, okay, when you need to, and be able to tap into it when you have different experiences, rather than just be flat in terms of your experience of those things. That's what adds depth to life. And what happens is your spine and nerve system frees up. You become more open to your body having the full range of what is supposed to happen to you. Now, we'll do a little exercise in this. This is very important. Okay? Now, I want you to visualize this. Next, how should I do this? Yeah. So, in terms of your spinal cord, okay, just take your hand and do this. Okay? And what I want you to do is look at the skin folds on your wrist. Got that? Now I want you to take your hand and go like this. And you'll see those skin folds kind of stretch out. And then bring your hand and go the other way and see those skin folds kind of scrunch up. Okay? That's what happens to your spinal cord. If your head is forward like this, that stretches out that cord. When your head's back in a good cervical curve, there's slack in there. Okay? This is very important. What you do is sit up. Everybody sit up. And what you do is take your head, just close your eyes, bring your head forward and down, like maximally without hurting yourself. And I want you to focus on some negative experience in your life, something that happened to you that wasn't a positive thing. It was maybe some turning point traumatic thing that happened to you. It could have been a relationship, it could have been childhood, it could have been family, it could have been a loss, whatever it is. And focus on connecting to this event as if it's going on. To where you're really feeling it in your body. Give yourself a little bit more time. Now what I want you to do is bring your head all the way back, like you're looking up at the sky. extension of your neck, like I did with your wrist. Head's back and looking up. Now try to think of that same event or connect to that same event. Okay. Now we'll go back to center. Did anybody have a different experience of that event with their head in each position?
It's less dramatic.
It's less dramatic. Anybody else have that experience? Or anything else they can add?
Less dramatic.
Less traumatic.
I have trouble experiencing it.
It's trouble experiencing it.
Yeah, me too.
Do you notice the difference in your breath with your head like this versus like that? Like, was your breath shallower this way? Yeah, people's breathing shuts down about 40% with their head this way. Most people are like this and they don't know it, okay? Here's the thing. When your head is like that, like I did with your wrist, and your spinal cord stretches, a couple things happen. Your nerve system goes into fight or flight. Adrenaline and cortisol spike up. Nerve cells, when their spinal cord is stretched, do not get the appropriate oxygen because physically the capillaries within your spinal cord stretch and oxygen can't get across to nourish the spinal cord. It's anoxia. The nerve cells actually die. People have reverse curves for extended period of time. Slowly, nerve cells in their spinal cord just keep dying because they don't have enough oxygen, okay, from their spinal cord being stretched. And what happens is your body has a couple inches for your spinal cord to move. Your spinal cord moves in and out and folds kind of like an accordion, all right? And what happens is if there's a particular note or event that's going on and that note of the accordion is there, that particular segment of your spinal cord stretches or twists, it's like that event is continuing to play. And as that particular part of your spinal cord is flexed, your body continues to experience that note and tag all the molecules of emotion with that particular event's information. So then that's how your emotional subsystem relates to your spine and nerve system, and how people have changes in their emotional state relative to care. And it's also how emotional events subluxate or distort or distress their spine. Because when their spinal cord stretches, over time the vertebrae move around it. Your body doesn't like your spinal cord stretching. Both vertebrae are like donuts, you know, with a little hole in the middle. Okay, I'm from New York, so I can think of donuts. So, that was a small joke. So, you know, the spinal cord's in there, the spinal cord being stretched, what happens is that those donuts will move around it, okay? And then that, you know, the disc is like the jelly in the middle or something like that. So, anyway, as that stresses or pulls, then those vertebrae move around that particular area and kind of lock in how it is. Now, here's the thing. People tend to attract physical events on top of emotional traumas. I have seen it so often in taking care of people. They'll have 3 or 4 physical things happen to them in the year, and we'll say, well, what happened to you emotionally? And they'll say, well, the year before that, somebody passed away, or the year before, when that year was going on, I was going through a breakup, you know, and then they kind of attack or attach these physical things on top of their emotional traumas. Here's what's very important. That is like someone hitting enter on the keyboard. It's like typing a sentence. This is what's going on in my life right now, and then enter. And we'll just store that. And it becomes the magnetic tape of the memory of your body. And your posture becomes your